It's a beautiful sunny afternoon. I mean, there's a few clouds out there in the distance that are a little dark, but not very dark. So, my prediction last night about the whole rain today, and I couldn't do this today, and I did this last night. Well, we now know why I'm not a weatherman. So, I cut the video short that was for today earlier, uh, where I gave some recognition to my old English teacher when I say old, I mean like way back. In high school, both my ninth grade and my 12th grade English teacher, Miss Pell. And there was a second part to that, but I didn't want to include it in that video because I knew the video would be very, very lengthy, so tried to keep it short. It was around 6 minutes. I also need to put a shout out to Professor Ellen Arl. She also, sticking with the theme of English, she was my English professor in college. So if you've been in my class or if you listened to some previous videos, then you know that English was not my strong suit. And it wasn't because I wasn't smart enough to do it, it's just other things that were going on in my life at the time. So I didn't go to college until I was what was considered an adult student. So I didn't go out of high school. I barely made it out of high school. After several years in the military and then finally growing up, I realized I wanted a little more for myself, and it was a personal goal of mine that I wanted to achieve that. I wanted to get a college degree. I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it, and I ended up doing it. With that came the realization that my writing skills, my language skills were pretty they were pretty bad. My writing skills were horrible, atrocious to be exact, to be more precise. And it became my personal challenge to do well. So at, I was enrolled in the University of South Carolina, and the only professor who had spaces in class when I went to enroll was Professor Ellen Arl. And the class size really wasn't too large. I mean, altogether there may have been about maybe 20 people in the class, but all the other sections were full. So, not saying anything negative, but the reason why it was her classes were lower is as far as enrollment goes. A lot of people were saying was because she was so tough. I mean, it was it was a challenge to pass her class, and I can remember the first week I was in there thinking, I don't have what it takes to do this. I'm expected to do college level literature and language art, and language arts. I'm supposed to. I didn't understand the mechanics of English. I mean, I barely passed high school English, so like I said, my writing was horrible. I mean, I had been reading all my life, and so had a passion for reading, but I was not a good English student. I wasn't a good student, period. But I stuck it out, and I realized that she was she was exactly what I needed to push myself to become better. I can remember the very first paper I had in her class. It was a C, which was impressive considering that there were a whole lot of F's on that very first one. And she was very much a stickler for the mechanics of writing. Not to say that she didn't look for the quality of writing; she did, but her approach was if you understood the mechanics of writing, if you understood the type of writing you were doing, that the mechanics would change. And then there were some basic fundamental mechanics as far as grammar goes that you always followed. And she pounded that into us. And I was the oldest person in the class. I was the adult student. Everybody else was fresh out of high school, and all they were doing was complaining about how hard it was and this and that. And I was past that. I wasn't in that same mindset of, oh my gosh, this is so hard. I just realized I needed to buckle down and do this, and I did. And I made an A in her class. So, Miss Ellen Arl, I say Miss Ellen Arl, and I called her Miss Ellen Arl because I would see her outside of class, and she was always very kind to me. Um, and I think it was because she respected the fact that I actually took her class seriously and I wouldn't accept less than an A. I ended up taking her for 4 more semesters of English. And I was not an English major. I only needed 2 semesters of English. I only needed English in my freshman year of college and my sophomore year of college. I ended up actually taking a total of 5 semesters of English in college. 4 semesters I took with her, and I made A's in all 4 of her classes. Nobody did that. And that was my personal challenge to myself, was to make A's in English, college level English literature, to prove to myself that I could do it. It was sort of a reckoning for myself. It was me making up for lost time for what had happened in high school. And thanks to her and her pushing me and refusing to allow me to accept less than A-level work. She's the reason why, if I have to write a report, if I have to do something for my job nowadays, if I have to just put put myself out there in some way, shape, or form, I can do it. And it's thanks to her. And it paid off in my other classes. I can remember my political science class and my science major classes I was taking, and my history courses that I took. Whenever I had to write a paper, I got A's in all of them, and it was because of her. And then I also have to do a quick shout out to Dr. Zaidman, also at the University of South Carolina. I took her for my 5th semester of English, of college level literature, and in her class I took was a children's literature, and we reviewed a lot of children's literature that was that's very famous, Caldecott Awards and stuff like that. And we would have to read and review a lot of short books and stuff like that, and essays, and write on them. And thanks to both of them, I have the skills on what it takes today to do what I need to do. If I have to write reports or just put my thoughts on paper or just to think through the process, to kind of look broader into what all is going on. So thank you, Professor Ellen Arl, Dr. Zabin. You two were great. I had to add you into this special edition. And in the spirit of Teacher Appreciation Week, I still have brownies from last night. You see that? That right there, I already started crumbling that piece off right there. You see that? I'm going to sit out here and enjoy the sunlight and this delicious cup of French roast, the rest of that brownie, and just enjoy the fact that I made it. I made it this far, and I'm ready for the challenges ahead. Hope you do the same. Take care. Enjoy your coffee. Or tea. Tea's perfectly fine. I'll see you tomorrow for another cup of coffee. Take care.